All right, we are live again. Round 3.
Take 3. You know what they say, Eljay, third time is the charm,
Yep.
which is why we need Bionicle G3.
Okay, that was the wrong answer.
Just let people filter back in. As soon as you guys hear us, let us know. LJ has once again cranked the bitrate to 1000, which probably makes us sound quite bad, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. Right now, all I care about is that you can hear us, which is kind of the bare minimum for a podcast.
Lego Master in the patron chat. The 3 virtues. More like the 3 attempts at hosting a live stream from rural Idaho.
So
Ain't that the
real.
truth?
Realer than you know. We got 27 people. Going well so far.
Yeah,
Better.
it's
All
telling
right,
me
well.
excellent connection. Discord's now tanked down to 400. Well, all right. It tanked to almost 500 ping, but it's regulated again. So,
All right. Well, let's just give it a go until it doesn't work anymore.
yeah,
But
that
please let us know.
sounds good to me. So,
Okay. Hello, guys. We are back. Terribly, terribly sorry. Yeah, I mean, no use doing a long preamble at this point. We're going to be talking about Masks of Power. We want to talk about everything that happened, the history of the game, the takedown from Lego, what this means for the Bionicle community, how everybody's feeling about it, all that kind of stuff, of which I have many thoughts on. But before that can happen, obviously, for a lot of people listening now, it's very much like an elephant in the room, something that we got to talk about. And then we're going to do that first, and then we're going to spend the rest of the show talking about what we had planned to talk about, which is everything to do with the project and the takedown and everything like that. Does that sound good, Elge?
it sounds.
As good as it can go.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what we got.
fair enough.
So,
All right. Do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to set the stage?
no, this is my mess. So, I'll go ahead and start it. So, before we get into everything pertaining to the game itself, we have to talk about something that happened yesterday. So, I released a video here on the channel where I acted as Toa Liwa playing the Bionicle Masks of Power Free the Band demo. It was about 11 minutes. And this is a video I've had for literal years, like the last 6 or so years, however long. This definitely did not come to me like overnight. Again, it's something that I thought of for a minute. Well, a couple of key notes. Obviously enough, Lego has instructed formerly Team Kenohi to take down the game, and Team Kenohi has complied fully with that. They took down basically everything pertaining to it, which we'll get to later. And we came into possession of a copy of the game, but it was not provided by them. So that was what I was using for the video. Now, yesterday, a representative from Team Kenohi reached out to me to discuss it, and they wanted it taken down. And after discussing the situation with the representative, who I want to stress was completely cordial, he was extremely nice, like he was a good fellow. We had come to the decision that we were not going to remove the video. despite their request. Now, there were a lot of reasons behind that, and we'll get into a lot of that later, possibly in the next few moments. But I'd like to start by sincerely apologizing to Team Kenohi. That was an incorrect decision. We'll get into the reasons why we made that decision, but it won't ever be an excuse, because there is no excusing it. Ultimately, they were completely in the right to make that request, and I was wrong not to capitulate with it. So, I am sorry to them. The video has been privated now. There are plenty of other people that have been making their voices heard on this, and they are right. The video should not have been left up. We should not have made that decision. So, completely on me. It's entirely my fault. There are some people in the chat, chronic liars actually, that we will discuss, claiming that the reason is the backlash, and that isn't the reason, because we were fine with our decision at the time. We are no strangers to backlash. I certainly am not. And yeah, you know. So it's, if you think that it was because of public perception, you're sorely mistaken, which, considering the person claiming that it's because of the backlash, you're frequently sorely mistaken, and we'll get to you. It was because, after having several in-depth conversations with other people, it was made very clear that our decision was wrong. At the time, we were in a heightened emotional state, and that's why we only made the decision then rashly, and needed time to come down from that and actually understand that what we did was wrong. What I did was wrong. So,
We is an accurate assessment. It was your video, but like you and I discussed it after the fact.
Yeah.
My hands aren't clean.
That's fair enough, and I guess we can get into that, because I want to stress again, I'm not making any excuses. I will offer reasons, and they are not meant to excuse what happened. You know, there just isn't getting any around that.
Yeah.
Because like I understand there were some people making parallels to a situation that I was involved in back in November, where another creator replicated my voice with AI, and used it without my permission, and that was a whole big deal. And what I often told him was that the intentions don't matter if the other party is affected. And in that heightened emotional state, I failed to realize that I was on the other side of that situation. So,
yeah.
Again, no excuses. I apologize profusely to the team. They have only done amazing work. They are not to blame for anything in regards to this. They are also not obligated to accept this apology. No one is. I'm not making it for forgiveness, but because it is what I believe the right thing to do. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
I will.
It was a foolish mistake, and I dug my heels in, and I should not have. And I apologize. I am sorry.
Good on you. I think I mean, like I said, my hands aren't clean either. Like a lot of people were like flooding my DMs with it, like I'm a janitor, like clean up this mess, and I'm just like, first of all, I'm at work. You know, I'm not going to entertain this. But like, talk to LJ, he will when he's awake. LJ gets awake. I get off work. You know, I go about my life. I eat dinner. You know, I do important things that are relevant to me, and then I get on, and then we talk about it, and then we hash it out, and then we communicate. You know, my life does not like begin and end with this kind of stuff, nor does Eljay's. So it's like, yeah, you can say it took us a while to make the decision, and that's a fair critique. I think you can say
I
that,
I
but
I
like, yeah,
I guess
that's why it
like
takes time, to actually like get on and talk about things.
yeah, it also like everyone also lives their lives. Like I have had a lot of stuff as of late that I've had to attend to. And that's not to say that other people haven't, that they had to take time out of their day for. The individual that was speaking to me was also busy at the time. And they were very, very gracious in wanting to get it situated in spite of that. So, but
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it you know what?
it's fair to say if it took too long, that's your opinion. I feel like what matters is that we came to the correct decision eventually, and like I said, my hands aren't clean. I will also apologize. I'm a huge fan of unmasked games. Team Kenohi I have been for many years. And like Eldra said, I want to briefly kind of touch upon like our thought process. It's not an excuse, but I believe that, intentions matter. And one thing I really hate, it's unavoidable, I think, with being like an internet personality, especially because you and I have both known to be like we're very stubborn at times, but like
yeah.
it does upset me a little bit to be like mischaracterized or to be viewed in like a way that I don't feel is true. And yeah, like our own actions do cause that image a lot of the time. But I do just kind of want to briefly talk about it and say LJ has been wanting to do that video for many years. It's not, and like I told you this before you started, Elj, it's not meant to be like an insult, but like it's not exactly, it's not exactly a crazy idea.
Yeah,
You
no,
know what I
it's
mean?
not.
Like guy who likes Liwa and has a Liwa mask and does funny Liwa voice, plays Liwa game as Liwa.
Yeah,
Like
it's not I'm not exactly, painting the Mona Lisa here. Yeah.
you're not painting the Mona Lisa, but it's very much something that he's wanted to do for many years,
And
and he had the opportunity to do it, wanted to do it, and did it. And we had kind of like tunnel vision. We were like, this is fine, this is harmless, this isn't gonna hurt anyone, and we never want to hurt anyone. And so when we realized that like it was hurting people, like, well, obviously we don't want that, and we reflected and changed course. But a lot of people have said things, and I can't blame you for saying them, especially if you have a negative presupposition of us. Like, you're not expected to like us and everything we do. A lot of people have no clue who we are. We're not as relevant as we used to be. But a lot of people see like, oh, a YouTube channel doing a video about this game, and they're like, well, they're greedy scumbags who wanted to do it for views. They're backpacking off of this tragedy for e-clout, or they're trying to rejuvenate their failing e-celebrity careers. And like I'm quite aware of the reach that our current channel has. Um let's be candid here, let's be real. We're not exactly what we once were. Um if we were in this to make money or to get internet views, we're in the wrong fandom, to put it quite simply. Anything that we do at this point in our lives and always has been because we want to do it, because it's fun, because we want to entertain, because we want to be entertainers. That doesn't mean we're always right, or that idea encompasses all the different angles of things. Because sometimes when you have tunnel vision like that and you just want to do something fun, because it's fun, you miss all sorts of context and you end up like hurting people, or you get hurt, like the cannon contest.
no.
We were not remotely aware of all the politics and all the baggage and all the complex opinions that the Bionicle community had for the idea of those cannon contests. We were just like, they'd be fun, they'd get Greg involved, people can be creative, why wouldn't we do them? And I feel like that was a very pure mindset. It was also kind of ignorant of the fandom. we went in with good intentions. Not everybody agreed with those. Not everybody had good intentions. Not everybody could match that. And then we ended up with years of stress because of it. With this, you just wanted to do a funny Liwa video, and it was later brought to our attention about how that could be harmful. And yeah, it's
and
it was, and so we've taken it down.
yeah, and I think the thing that's been really eye opening to me has been all the people that assume so many ill intention. Like, I think the comment that really disappointed me the most was from Waj, in our Patreon server, who suggested that my like Liwa thing was like a guise because I somehow knew it was wrong. And that's insane. That's a really, really wild thing to hear. That somehow, like, that's something I would think of and somehow I would do. It's something I would do, especially to a team that, like, I've supported for their entire existence.
And Bro's been doing the Liwa voice since like 2010,
2009. And like
publicly, by the way.
It just that was, and obviously, like, that's not the only comment that we've gotten about that. There have been others, and I know Waj isn't trying to claim that I was acting with malice, but that suggestion it's just very shocking to me that there are people out there that think that this was like an intentionally malicious thing that we did, and it wasn't. And again, it's it's like I said, intentions don't matter when the affected party feels affected.
Exactly, but and that's why I'm not going to spend a large point of time talking about it. I felt it bore some mentioning, at the very least. That, like, believe it or not believe it, I'm not trying to change anyone's minds, but like we do not set out to cause harm. Usually we have the best of intentions. I think our flaw that I've thought about a lot is that we don't think about the angles of things. We can get tunnel vision. We want to do things for a certain reason. Sometimes that reason is too naive or too... naive. That's a good word for it. So, something to keep in mind.
Of course.
But, now,
why were we in such an emotional, heightened emotional state, Meso?
Well, it's because, we were not contacted at first by the cordial, well-meaning Team Kenohi representative.
Yeah,
I was contacted at first. Yes?
Oh, no, I mean, I was asleep when I was receiving messages, and it took me a while to actually get back to people because I was asleep. But
you have a setting on your Discord enabled where you can only get messages from people where you're in a shared server with them.
Oh yeah, we'll touch on that.
That was kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, like my first exposure to this takedown request was through a gentleman named Vic.
Is nice.
Who's one of the heads of the Mask of Destiny initiative. And anyone who knows Vakiti knows that he's a very reasonable person, very cordial, very nice, very pleasant,
professional, always professional
to speak to,
very forgiving, very earnest, honest, very honest.
So I'm going about my business at work, and I'm I'm doing my own thing, and then I open my DMs, and I'm getting like cursed at, I'm getting like talked down to like a child. I'm getting called a clout chaser. Trying to like take this video down like right now. I go back and forth, I discuss it, then I get threatened because they're like, well, if this ends up being the last straw, then Team Kenohi will know who to come after for legal fees. And like, I mean, at that point, I just start laughing and I kind of mentally check out of the conversation because, I mean, it's like I told him in the DM, intimidation only works when the other party is scared of you, and Vakiti has about all the intimidation value of a Chihuahua. So I wasn't exactly shaking in my boots here, but I was a little annoyed because, like I've already said, I'm not a perfect person, but I do like, for people to think good of me. I don't set out to cause harm. I don't set out to do anything bad. And, Vakiti and I have had this conversation before because he has a very,
he is
how do we
in a
say,
bit
negative.
of a development, like he's I think they call it arrested development.
Yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
a problem Vakiti suffers from. And unfortunately
he
forces us to suffer from too. By proxy.
I mean, everything, there is something called benefit of the doubt. And I don't think anyone necessarily deserves it. But I think that if you are a good person in this fandom, someone who routinely gets up on his soapbox and preaches about concepts like unity or concepts of, fandom and camaraderie and shared community spirit, maybe you could presume not the worst possible thing about someone. Maybe there might be an explanation. Maybe there might be a reason. Maybe there might be some added angle that, hey, maybe they're still in the wrong, but maybe this is like a teachable moment. I'll never forget. And yeah, Vakiti says I'm petty. Maybe I am. But I will still never forget one of the worst things was like after we did the podcast talking about Greg Farshti's unfortunate layoff from the Lego company. Vakiti is the first guy on Twitter, calling us like an insult to the Bionicle community because we turned this poor man losing his job into like an internet discussion fest for views and clickbait. And I'm like, all right, that was the last moment I ever like cared about interacting with Vakiti. I do not care to. There's a reason why we do not participate in Bionicle Day. It's because I want nothing to do with that man. And we will talk about that more in the future. Today is not the day for that.
Yeah,
but
you will all probably see this live chat and you'll see names like Meerkat and the Beaver House and associates
all the
of
greatest
theirs.
hits.
All people
all
people we will absolutely be discussing about. And that discussion will involve copious receipts of threats to hack, threats to bring government agencies involved on fan projects and fan creators, physical threats of violence against me, and an insane amount of lying from all of those individuals that have sought specifically to lie about us. Not even just twisting the truth, which there's plenty of that, but just straight up bold-faced lying.
Baseless fabrications.
Yeah.
So that'll be another day. That's not the purpose of today. But I just wanted to pepper that in because, again, it's not an excuse. But I would just say that for anyone associated with Vakiti, anyone who ever might want to associate Vakiti, he's a talented person in many ways. I'll give him credit. Bionicle Day would not happen without him being able to wrangle so much together and put that stream on. He is very talented in what he does. But he is not anyone you want in your PR. He's not anyone you want speaking for you in any remote capacity.
No.
It just doesn't work. And it immediately put us on the defensive. And that's our bad because of our history. But I do not, react well to people like lying about my character, to blatantly insulting me, to threatening me for legal fees. That's not it, Chief. That's not it.
Yeah. But hey,
that's all I have to say about that. Indeed. That's all I have to say about that for now.
It's all right. The sun will rise again.
Indeed. So none of that is to excuse what we did, by the way. It's
Mhm.
just to provide additional context. Um, when we were spoken to by the representative, like, yeah, it took some time for it to sink in, but it did. And we're gonna move on from it. I don't want to harp on it all day, but I didn't want to brush it under the rug either, because that wouldn't be right. We had to come out and talk about it, and I think we did. Do you have anything else you want to say, Elge?
Um, there's a lot that I have to say, of course, which, as you said, we will get to another time. Um, I guess maybe we can take a moment to answer any questions if anyone has them before we move on, because we are going to move on to the general discussion about the project and our thoughts on it, what we think went
Yes.
wrong. But
Yeah, that's a good idea.
if anyone needs me to answer any questions, I'm willing to do so. Um, so
Yeah. By all means, if you want to, I'll read the super chats really quickly. I don't want to
do
let those go unread.
do you have the ones on the previous streams?
I have one. There
Okay,
was one super chat.
maybe there was only one.
Well, I know there was we had the stream up since yesterday, and I know that some of the chat messages went away
Yeah,
because I
Vikiti
think
was
they
trying to
lapsed after
claim
24 hours.
Vikiti was trying to claim that we deleted them because he is, and I must stress this, a chronic liar. And no, we didn't. We didn't delete anything. We didn't delete any messages.
I mean, really, I don't even want to be snarky here, but just think logically for a minute. We're doing a stream talking about the issue. Why would we delete comments about the issue when we know we're just gonna get raked over the coals on the stream anyway?
Meso,
that's just pointless.
you're assuming critical thoughts in play.
But I genuinely do think that when a live stream's up 24 hours in advance, it gets lapsed. I think there was a super chat on one of those, but if there was, I'm sorry. I know that from the prior version of the stream, there was a super chat from Linky for
Yeah,
$9.99.
that is the only one.
Genuinely messed up what Lego has done. The only logical conclusion I can draw is that maybe there is another Bionicle project from Lego in the works. Why after 8 years would they turn 180? Well, we'll talk about that. Suffice to say, I don't think that's the case, but it would be nice. Then we have another super chat from Pickled Pretzels, $5 Canadian. Says, my stance has always been the same with issues like this. You can say it's legally correct, but you'll never convince me it's ethically correct. And that was very much
100% right.
the thing to grapple with from our perspective. We felt very strongly that what we were doing wasn't harmful and had no risk associated. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. And so that was kind of the crux of our argument is we don't want these people to be harmed. We don't want to propagate harm. We felt strongly that it wouldn't. But yes, there's a whole other dimension, which is might be legally right, not ethically right. And that was the truth.
Yeah.
There was another one from Linky, $4.99. To me, the game is dead. It could have been seen as archive footage. Still, I think because it was asked to be removed, removing it was the right choice. Absolutely right. And then another one from Linky. Thank you so much. I don't mean to get religious, but the Bible taught me that everyone has demons, and eventually you'll have to answer for them. Well, that is real enough. None of us are perfect people.
Yeah.
We've all made mistakes. That much is true. I just hope to put more good into the world than bad. That's kind of my goal.
It's been what I've been trying to do. So can I? There's some claims that we were in some way responsible for delaying Bionicle Day, which is not that is not true.
I mean, it's completely baseless. We heard this come out a while ago. It was brought to our attention, and we had to scavenge through the logs of the Bionicle Community Council in order to find the truth of that situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't really think now's the place to talk about it,
Yeah, and
personally
like
speaking.
we will. We were. Yeah.
Yeah, let's save it for another day.
Okay.
Um,
I'll,
another
I'll,
super chat,
I'll
but
save
I'm
it.
not really. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It was now that the leak is out, they can't stop us. Well, we're not gonna
Yeah.
propagate
Well,
anything.
since some people seem to want to talk about it,
Yeah,
um,
would rather keep it on the down low.
would rather. Not not everyone sees the same.
Yeah. Now, we are going to we're gonna proceed with this like orderly podcast because I don't want to get caught up in the weeds all day.
Yeah,
If any of
we
you
could
would
be
like,
here.
if any of you would like,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we could be this all day. If any of you would like to attend another stream, if you would like to, you're more than welcome to come back and we could talk about everything.
And
But
we will.
yeah, I mean, I would just be I would be wary about making claims about things from chats that we both have full archives of. I would make sure that what you say is actually true and not hyperbole.
Yeah.
Because stuff can be an exaggeration even if it's not an outright lie.
And
I would just check it.
I would also sincerely encourage. Perhaps you should not throw stones in glass houses, or what is it? Not throw stones in glass houses. It's what's that adage? He who is without sin can cast the first stone. Unfortunately,
Yeah, pretty much.
there are a lot of the people we're talking about that are surrounded by flames. So
And also, I mean, it's the usual thing. It's like we were saying. It's like even one of these comments, IDK, if it was sabotage or incompetence, and it's like, why presume sabotage?
yeah, um, I will say,
Assume incompetence. Where none of us are experts in our fields. That
yeah,
much is true. But we're just doing it as a hobby.
yeah, I will say for everyone here that you know that have heard what I had to say and are chewing away at every detail of the situation, like you're welcome to do that. I I I don't have really anything else I can add or say. You know, I am sorry that it happened. I'm sorry that I posted the video. I'm sorry there was a delay in taking it down. I am sorry that um, we declined their request initially. I sincerely, I I don't know what more necessarily you want, but I also know that there are plenty of people here that really just wanna cause me grief, as they have historically, and there's nothing that I could say or do to um, fix that or make them happy or satisfy what they want outside of. Um, Actually, I really don't know what. Like I don't know how deep the hatred goes, but yeah, I made a mistake and I'm sorry, and that's all I can offer. I don't know what more I could really do. But if you guys have ideas, uh, please let me know. I'm willing to do whatever I can to help out. So
Door had a question. Why do you think you guys attract so much beef and controversy? I don't mean this as a dig. I've been watching you since I was a kid, and I really don't dislike you. I'm just genuinely curious. It's like I was saying. We are we have a certain view of looking at things because of what we want the hobby to be. We have a way that we have hoped the Bionicle fandom could be from how we've engaged with it when we were kids. Oftentimes it's naive. Oftentimes we don't convey ourselves the best. Oftentimes there are problems in how we interact with other groups because of communication styles. There are bridges that have been burned that I did not ever want to burn. I had no intention of burning. There's people in this chat right now who hate our guts, who like at one point I wanted to be friends with. And I don't feel that I had changing opinions towards them. I just feel that somewhere along the line there were misunderstandings and it was easier to hate rather than to come together and talk. And I feel like a lot of times our approach to do stuff in the community is ignorant of what the community has actually become, which is not a great place all the time, filled with like bitter, angry people who are angry at themselves, angry at Lego, angry at everything, and they don't know where to put that anger, so it spills outward onto the people around them. That's my armchair psychology. And I mean, I'm not innocent of that either. I've made some stupid videos that I wish I could take back, like my like 40-minute rage fest at Faber and his Instagram posts. Like, was that really necessary? Did I really need to do that? Like, I don't know. Wouldn't it have been easier to just live and let live? But I felt justified to do it in the moment, so I did it.
Yeah.
I think that's a large part of it.
And I mean, we've all been in this community a long time and from a young age, and we've all changed very dramatically as people. And the problem with being in a community from a young age to 20 years later is you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to I mean, you're going to be a child, and I've certainly had my fair share of that. I've rubbed people the wrong way. I've made people angry, but a lot of that has been my fault. And it still follows because a lot of those other people are also still here. And not all of them have actually tried to change or improve. So,
There
but
you
we also all have our own lives outside of this.
go.
Thank goodness.
Pretty much. All right. Let us progress. Let's progress onwards. We will revisit this topic in the future.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about the game itself because no matter our community stance, no matter our clique, and no matter the bad blood, I think everybody collectively was really bummed out when this announcement happened. I don't think there was a happy soul in the community. I think that everybody has loved Team Kenohi's work over the years, all the way back from the Legacy release to, was it Trials of the Great Spirit
I don't recall,
that we
but
got
yeah.
to play? I think it was TOTGS. Yeah, that was a blast. These people do great work. These people do like amazing things, and with the advent of what was bound to be a full project release from them with insanely high production values and just crazy visuals, in-depth gameplay, I think everybody was pumped. We've been excited for many years following along. We didn't really report on it too much because I think we were waiting for the demo, waiting to have something tangible, Bionicle community paranoia when it comes to fan projects was very much always that it was going to get canceled and never see the light of day. And, well, not exactly how we expected it to go down, but here we are.
Yeah.
It's really sad. What essentially has happened, even though I think everybody here knows, Lego made a informal request for the game to be taken down. And I stress that because there is a lot of misunderstandings about that fact. A lot of people think that Lego filed legal action against Unmasked Games, formerly Team Kenohi. A lot of them think that there was a cease and desist filed against Unmasked Games, formerly Team Kenohi. That is not true. That's been publicly stated on their public Discord server. It was not a formal cease and desist. It was an informal request to stop development. That obviously the fear was that, well, what are they going to do? Say no? And like, well, obviously not. They had to comply. They told them just don't work on the game, and yeah, they adhered to it. Obviously, with the fear that if they didn't, it would become a formal cease and desist.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna include. I just want to caution everyone. I haven't vetted this. I don't know if there's any strong language or anything. I'm going to include a screenshot of this. It is from a public server, just so no one tries to suggest that we're being dishonest about it, or we learned it from some place. We haven't. Here it is. It's just this picture. But yeah, no, it is interesting because we do very rarely hear about situations like this happening within the LEGO sphere. LEGO traditionally has not gone after many fan projects. More recently, have they been getting a little more involved with different fan things. Like, I believe they shut down I think they shut down the LEGO Universe servers that the fans were running. And there was something else that they also were involved in. Like, they sent a huge message to, like, remove 3D 3D printed pictures, is that right? Or 3D printed pieces?
When was this? Are you talking about the recent one?
Yeah.
So that was a thing that was being purported on Reddit, and I had to look into that more. And it's a very niche thing. Yes, LEGO did take down some 3D printed part resellers. No, it was not widespread. It was a very niche group, a few sellers that were selling licensed IP figs. So stuff like Dragon Ball minifigures or stuff like, other anime or other cartoons. It was blown up a bit as to being more than that, like the 3D printed parts are over. That is not true. As Lay Hart says in the comment in the live chat, they also took down Roblox Bionicle assets. Widespread sweeping takedown. I don't think you can find a Bionicle thing on Roblox now. But obviously I don't go on Roblox, so I have no clue. Yeah. Take that with a grain of salt. But that is true. Did you mention the Ninjago stuff, Eljay?
No, I was scrambling for examples.
They also have been hitting the Ninjago community recently. They not only hit the Ninjago Media Project, which is like, it's very equivalent to the BMP. It's an archival of all the episodes, comics, anything promotional whatsoever. That got taken down at least partially.
Really?
I don't think entirely, but they did get hit by large sweeping, takedowns.
Well, they must not have, hosted it remotely.
Yes, true. How could we forget that?
Of course.
The $1 million solution to everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that happened. Then also something that's gone on recently is LEGO has been cracking down more on use of Ninjago footage in YouTube videos.
Yeah.
At first it was us with our reaction videos, and we kind of brushed that off because we weren't editing them as much as we should anyway. We were just showing the episodes like picture in picture, like with an overlay and our reactions. So we were like, well, that's probably justified. They're just taking that down because we're showing too much. Now it has upscaled to any YouTube channel that uses Ninjago footage in a video essay format is at risk for copyright strikes as well. Namely, Bindo Bricks, a friend of the channel, current head of Ninjago Cast, he had a bunch of his videos taken down for copyright. And in the greatest tragedy of all, that I only just found out about,
don't tell me,
an hour and a half ago, and I have been holding it ready to drop the bomb that nobody here cares about because it's our Bionicle audience and not our Ninjago audience. No. Every single one of my crystallized ending videos has been blocked worldwide.
What?
Every single remix of the stupid Sally song.
It's the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
It's all gone. I spent so many hours on those stupid videos, and now nobody can see them. And then yes, in the chat, as Vakiti's saying, the Bionicle trilogy re-uploads have also been affected.
Because they weren't hosted remotely.
The takedown requests that were sent, he points out, they looked fake, and there were a lot of people that were saying that they were suspicious or they were fraudulent. Now, given this situation, people are kind of thinking, well, maybe not. A lot's unclear. A lot is speculatory right now. Yes, X, even the Lincoln Park one. It really is sad. So
Meso,
there's this narrative. Yes.
are they are they saved? Do you still have copies of them?
I think I can because they didn't send a strike. They blocked them worldwide.
That's wild.
But I think I can still watch them on my channel and download them. Maybe? Yes, I can. They're all safe.
Okay. All right.
I'll just make a supercut.
Gosh.
Yeah, we do not know, Lay, unfortunately. Yeah, like Vikiti said, it's unclear, it's uncertain at the moment. So all of that is to say, basically, you take that in totality, and kind of the first big hot button issue is this an isolated incident? Is it just because of something Masks of Power did? I can't, in good conscience, look at it and say yes. I have some thoughts about how Masks of Power handled things, which we'll get to, and like stuff that may have flagged them more on Lego's radar. But I don't think anybody can look at this and say this is an isolated incident. This is part of a wider shift because none of this was happening this time last year. A lot has happened in a 5-month time span. Something changed. Someone got in Lego's legal department who wasn't there before, or they decided to just start paying more attention to the internet and how they're using their media. Something changed or someone changed, and so a switch got flipped to be more strict, and now we're seeing the ramifications of that. And it is kind of scary because nobody really knows how far it's going to go. Hopefully this is it. This is bad enough. Nobody knows. So yeah. There are some theories out there that I think we should address, LJ. That this is indicative of a Bionicle G3. What do you think about that?
I don't believe that to be the case. We don't have any evidence that Lego has any interest in bringing Bionicle back in any way, shape, or form, outside of the references that fan designers, designers that are Bionicle fans, have been including. I don't think this is an indication that they are bringing Bionicle back.
Yeah. The way this all first came about, it happened when we were on the trip, was like the Mangai project leaked the takedown early. And they were speculating about like, oh, is this indicative of like a G3 or whatever, and it kind of got people wondering. No, I don't buy that it is. I see no evidence to think that whatsoever. I've seen some more believable theories that still aren't believable, which is, oh, well, the game takedown was related to Lego starting to make games in-house. It was related to their partnership with Epic for Fortnite, and maybe there's like a Bionicle game in development for the 25th anniversary, or maybe Tahu's gonna come to Fortnite and shoot people with an AK-47. Like, I don't believe any of that either. I think that is all wishful thinking on the best of days.
I think it would make a modicum of sense if this had to do with Lego going in-house for their game development. I agree. I don't think that there is anything Bionicle related in development. Now, of course, we don't know. We genuinely, we don't know, but guarantee you we would know, because Bionicle stuff just cannot seem to stay a secret. Like, we had
it would leak.
G2 leaked in June when the actual announcement was supposed to be in October. The GWP, actually, now that I think about it, also, that leaked in June, July?
Around then, yeah.
Yeah, when it wasn't supposed to be known until, I don't remember, November, December?
G1 ending leaked like 6 or 7 months ahead of the announcement, which is why I was so confident that it was canceled
Mm-hmm.
way back when. So yeah, people care about Bionicle. It wouldn't stay under wraps, especially not something like a video game.
Yeah.
So, not that I think anybody here is necessarily like believing that, but if you do, just please temper your expectations. That's not happening. At least not right now. Now, there was something brought up that I do kind of want to address because it is an interesting thought. Um, Vakiti mentioned a bit above. I'm still concerned this all may have been related to the Magna leak. Granted, that was more of a request from Advance, but I feel like Lego would want to maintain their relationship with Advance. So the gap of Knack and J that we've done is really interesting because the last one that we did, Elge, I think it was the 2004 one. At
Mm-hmm. It
the
was.
end, we found out that Duckbricks was posting like cool concept stuff. I think it was that one, and we were like, wow, we had no clue this was going on. And then we haven't done one since, and obviously a lot of stuff happened with that we have just never even discussed.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic. That's going to be a big part of our next Knack and J, which will hopefully not take a million years to do this time.
It'll
But
be this year.
yeah,
Our next
it'll be
one
this year.
will be this year. It just depends on
Bare
whether or
minimum.
not it's going to be within the next few weeks or the next few months.
Yeah, the bare minimum this year. But yeah, we got to talk about the Magna leak as it's referred to as, because yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that did play some kind of a role in things, but we'll never know for sure. It's all speculatory.
Wonder how that leaked.
But who knows?
Hmm.
Uh, the one the one thing we can say is that it's not indicative of a G3.
Yeah.
So all that is to say, it sucks. I know a lot of people are really bummed out about this and about Lego cracking down on things. Um, because it feels very deflating. And if it feels deflating for us from like a viewership perspective, I can only imagine what it feels like for Unmasked Games to spend 8 years of your life making something and then have it get snatched away in the 11th hour right before you're about to release it. Like that must be dire.
Especially since
Um,
we know that the team had been struggling recently because they announced the delay of the band demo. It was supposed to launch sooner, but they had to delay it because they recently had suffered a lot uh, of personal strife within their team. Like individuals were struggling, and it impacted the effort.
yeah. So it's caused a lot of sadness, but also a lot of anger directed towards Lego. And I want to talk about that some more because I feel like that's a heavy conversation. I think that before we jump fully into like all the anger towards Lego and the state of the Bionicle community, where it goes from here, all that, I do kind of want to look at Masks of Power like a bit more closely because I do have some opinions on things and how everything has shaken out. And a lot of it's like I had this conversation I think with TTV recently where I called myself a hater, and everybody was like, "What are you talking about, Meso? You're not a hater. You're like positive to a fault. You're like way too naive and trusting and optimistic." And I'm like, "Have I gone on a character arc since 2015?"
Yeah, man. It's like right now, you trust that Marvel will at some point recognize Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as canon, even though it definitely isn't.
That's deeply messed up, Elder. You wanna get into a blood feud live on air?
Let's take it up with
I'll
Kevin
attack you,
Feige.
bro. Yeah, well. Anyway, I remember when I was like 18 years old and we were talking about G2, I was Mr. Negative and I hated everything. And I always was like a glass half empty kind of guy. and I was a critic about things that really should have been given the benefit of the doubt, to the point where I bummed out a lot of you guys
Oh
about
no,
talking about G2.
I do remember that. Yeah, every time everyone would be like, "Yeah, this was fun. This was cool," you'd be like, "This is terrible."
Yeah, just because I was too smart to see the writing on the wall immediately and know what we were going to get into. And so I never invested anything into it mentally because I knew it was going to explode in our faces. No, I'm partially kidding there. But point being, I want to channel some of that energy for a second and just be Mr. Nitpicker. First, there's like a super chat, $4.99 from Linky. As a fan of Warhammer 40K, this is nothing new, as sad as it is. Many projects get taken down by IP owners because otherwise they lose it. That is very well timed, Linky. Because that's just what I was about to say. There's a lot of anger towards Lego. Some of it's justified. We'll talk about it more in a bit. I'm just still channeling my corporate shill energy. You know, we're not on the land anymore, but maybe I still have some shilling in my blood because I kind of get it a little bit, as much as it sucks, as much as I don't want it to have happened. I can't say I don't kind of understand. This project was really good. Like, really good. It's insanely high quality, the amount of work that this team put in. And I think, hypothetically, but I know they've had some reflections along those same notes on their Discord, there was a confusion about whether it could get mistaken for an official game or not. Like, people could see this, people could Google Bionicle game and see this footage and be like, well, this is definitely like official, right? This looks official. This isn't a fan game. This is real. But it isn't. Lego's not doing anything with Bionicle right now. And I think there were two concerns. Number one, that it could get confused for an official product. And two, that it could present a challenge for Lego's copyright of Bionicle. Do you know where I'm going with this, Elge?
Oh yes.
This is not I'm not having a big brain idea moment. This has been discussed by many people, but the logic as I know it is this. It is that if Lego does not defend its copyright, when that copyright could be in jeopardy, it could be used as a legal example, a legal precedent in future instances of a time where they did not defend it and chose not to defend it. And in so doing, they could actually lose the copyright. They could lose the trademark, whatever you want, like whatever the proper terminology is. They could lose Bionicle if they don't defend Bionicle. And I do kind of get that, much as it sucks.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people have been quoting that one scene from Smiling Friends where it's that game CEO and they're trying to get like this guy they found on the street a new game so that he can like get back on his feet, and the guy is like dipping a chicken nugget in like all sorts of sauces. It's like, it's my IP to sit on and do nothing with. And that is extremely apt. That's right. But it's for a reason.
It's a little messy. It's like, it's not fun for anyone that likes these things to understand, but it's very much a thing where, like, well, I totally get why Lego wouldn't want, like, say, Hasbro or whatever to challenge them for the Bionicle IP. They will. Like earlier this year, people made a big deal about them renewing the trademark for Bionicle.com. I'm like, well, if they don't, then someone else will make Bionicle.com, and they could fill it with objectionable content that wouldn't fit Lego's brand values. And then what do they do about that? You know, nothing. The damage is done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a gray area. Like, I see people being pissed off at Lego, and like, sure, I get it. But I also get why they couldn't let this stand. Not with how much media attention it was getting.
This and Quest for Motunui both got a lot of attention from a lot of media outlets. And like not like not niche outlets. Like if we covered it, be like, oh yeah, okay, knife found in kitchen, Bionicle fans covering a Bionicle game. We're talking digital trends, The Escapist, PC Gamer, IGN, like big names are covering these things. And if you go and look, both of those games have Wikipedia articles, and in the development and reception sections, both games have quotes from these articles saying this is so impressive, it might as well be, and I'm going to quote exactly, so impressive that it might as well be an officially licensed Lego product, end quote. That's about Bionicle Masks of Power. For Bionicle Quest for Motunui, Vice writer Patrick Klepek said Quest for Motunui looks, quote, legitimately good, end quote, and that he would quote, totally believe it was an official Lego product. It's stuff like that that gets this stuff in big trouble. And I don't think it helped that these were both kind of running concurrently with each other. So there was
at least for a time, yeah.
Yeah, for a brief time. That is a lot of Bionicle in the news. And that is a lot of people going, this looks like a Lego product.
Yeah. And I see like some comments in the chat, and I don't have good answers for them. I don't have good rebuttals. Dark Lord 66, why defend an IP you won't do anything with? That's just pointless. I mean, like, they probably just don't want someone else to get Bionicle and then make it something like that doesn't align with Lego brand values. Like, say they pack it full of like blood and gore and swearing and like violence and sexual content, and then the average parent still remembers that it was a Lego product. Well, they don't want that association out there in the market. They want to have control over what the image of Bionicle is, and right now it's a tombstone, but like that's better than the alternative. And Wombat Combat Pictures says there was apparently a developer of a Rock Raiders fan game who got hired by Lego. They totally could have hired Team Kenohi and made it an official game. You are right. They definitely could have done that. They also could bring back Bionicle tomorrow. And they could make it a theatrical movie directed by Michael Bay. You know, they could make a 30-episode animated high-budget Netflix show based on Bionicle like they're doing for Ninjago. They could do a lot of things. I'm sure the reason they didn't hire Team Kenohi is the same reason as they didn't do any of those other things. They don't think it would be profitable. And obviously we think they're wrong. But so long as they think they're right, we're going to be in this situation. But yeah, what LJ you were saying about those websites, that is the core of the issue, I think. And the really big thing, and you know, on the off chance that anyone from Unmasked Games watches this, or even people in the chat who know them and who are affiliated with them, if anyone wants to correct me on this, I welcome it. I'm not a know-it-all. Yeah, please, correct me. Like, I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything. But I'm a fan of this project too, and I have my own grief, and I haven't gotten to express it yet, and this is kind of how I'm expressing it. I'm a little frustrated about some of the stuff that happened with this project that I feel put a target on its back. And now that it has been unfortunately canceled, I'm kind of looking back and being like, why did this happen? And the number one thing that I keep coming back to is Steam. Why did this game have to be on Steam? Why was that such a big deal? I feel that practically that did very little. People love Steam, but you can add games that are not on Steam to Steam. You can make it a manual launch. I have emulators that I have added to launch from Steam. Steam has achievements. That's cool. That's a practical thing. It'd be cool to have Bionicle achievements. Other than that, though, can't really think of too much that really benefited from it being on Steam. But I can tell you what harm was caused from it being on Steam. That being a big old target on its back from being the only Bionicle game, fan game, to be on an official like launcher, an official platform that added to the prestige of it and got it featured in like news articles that added to the marketing, the promotional materials. Bionicle wishlist now on Steam. I'm sure it energized them. I'm sure they felt good about it. And as creators of fan projects ourselves, like the value of hype and positive reinforcement, Elge.
Of
Like
course. I mean, we've
we're not idiots.
definitely we've fallen victim to a lot of the same things that happened here on
Oh, of course.
admittedly a smaller scale with Biocraft. Like we announced
Yeah,
Biocraft. Well, I mean, I don't know if we want to get into this section yet or come back to it.
we can get into it now. It's related enough.
Okay. Um, so back in 2011, when our group was still very, very new, we announced Biocraft, which was supposed to be, like our Bionicle movie retelling the entire 2001 story in Minecraft. And we made that announcement. We posted trailers. We made developer videos. And like it got a lot of attention for us at the time. Like it really, really blew up. Like even to us, it was a big deal that BZ Power reported on it. And
Yeah.
we made that. We had so much hype, and then it ended up going through so much trouble in development because we ran into problems. We just couldn't get everything we wanted to do right. Personality conflicts. It
We
ended
gave
up
a
that we
release date before we had shot like much footage at all.
yeah we had like a release date for the movie, and we kept on having to push it back and delay it, and eventually we were just like, yeah, we're done. We're done trying to do this. We can't do it. And we had like
Yeah.
sat down and like, we can't film this small scene. We're not going to be able to make this movie, and we couldn't. We tried, and we just could not film the scene no matter what we did. It just wasn't happening, and we were like, no, this isn't worth it. And Biocraft helped kind of springboard our name onto a lot of people's screens, and they came for that early on, and they they stayed for other stuff, which was very nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, like we get how that happens. Like people are really excited for it. We got wrapped up in it, and we made a bunch of promises that ultimately we couldn't keep.
Yeah. And that definitely was a part of it here, I think, and I'm very sympathetic. So like I'm not trying to be a jerk by pointing those things out. It's more about like empathizing, but I do think it all kind of rolled up into one. Now, Petrus and Bionic Punk in the chat are hitting on something else because Petrus rightly pointed out Mask's Power is not the first Bionicle game on Steam. The first one is Coley Champions.
Uh-oh.
But you know what Coley Champions does not have anywhere in its title or logo or description even. Wait, no, the description does have the word, but like neither the title or the logo is the word Bionicle, which again, I'm just a simple country podcaster. I don't know any of these fancy legalese.
Why you make
But,
it sound like we do a podcast about agriculture?
Yeah, I was out there in the field today driving my tractor, and I saw one of them fancy drones overhead.
But I would reckon that maybe the use of the Bionicle terminology may well have led to this here informal takedown request. But of course, we'll never know. But I think like it's the combo of those three things. It's the Steam release, the use of Bionicle in the title, and the widespread media coverage. That is what led to this outcome, in my opinion. If I had to throw a dart on a dartboard, I would say this is what it is. So like I feel like a large sense of loss because I don't like to, but like I can't help but wonder what if X had been different or Y had been different? Like what if they hadn't put it on Steam? what if they hadn't put Bionicle in the title? What if it was just called Masks of Power? What if they had kept working privately until it actually came out? You know, like, there's all these what ifs. Nobody has any clue. Nobody will ever have any clue. Because what's happened has happened. And Team Kenohi, you know, now Unmasked Games, they did their best. And just like with our own projects that failed because of overpromising. Remember History of Bionicle?
Oh, yeah.
LJ?
Oh, yeah.
TTV on air, like, I think often about like how cool it would have been to do those things, and the fact that we didn't is sad to me now, but you can't change life. You do what you do, you make the best choices you know how to make at the moment, and then you move on. I know that they probably benefited a lot from the media coverage in terms of either help. I don't know that for sure, but like maybe they did. Maybe they got some recruitment because of that advertising. I'm sure they certainly got a lot of positive energy from it. And maybe that was good enough for them at the time. But I don't know. It just sucks. I wish that there was a universe where it could have been more low key and under the radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be totally honest, even if it was, the possibility still exists for it to have been shuttered. Because at the end of the day, the game looked extraordinary. Like, it was extremely impressive, everything that we were shown. And that is what got the attention to it. People saw this fan endeavor and saw how good it was, how contemporary, or how equal it was to contemporary projects or titles. And they wanted to showcase that and talk about it. Because Bionicle, I know we say this a lot. We said it a whole bunch on Ninjago Cast. We'll continue to say it. Bionicle was huge. Like, at the time, Bionicle was, at its height, directly competing with things like Gundam and Power Rangers and G.I. Joe. Like, Bionicle was in the ring with those, with Pokemon. So Lego has very good reason. Like, it has such strong name recognition. There is always a good possibility that they would bring it back in the future because nostalgia works in cycles. And Lego definitely knows that now, and they're capitalizing on it. That's why you see so many sets nowadays that are from older themes, like older space themes, like Blacktron. We recently got images of a Lego, what is it, Gumball Machine, I think?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and that has minifigures that are very directly referencing old Lego themes like Castle or Space. And Bionicle could still happen, maybe, but Lego has to defend their claim, their right to have that copyright. And unfortunately, when you have something like this that looks as good as it does and is being very, very legitimized by not only the media, but its inclusion on one of the largest, if not the largest, computer game launchers in the market, Lego has to challenge that.
Yeah, pretty much. So that whole thing is one angle of it. You know, there were, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I kind of alluded to this. I was like, I always was hyped for Masks of Power, but I was only so hyped because, like I said, I'm a very cynical guy. I always had a lot of doubt that it would come out for one reason or one reason another. Like, it looked too good to be true. It looked like a dream come true. And now, of course, I mean, it clearly wasn't. It was actually real. I mean, like, we had the privilege of getting to play like a lot of like the builds of the older versions. Like, I know we did the Trials of the Great Spirit. I'm pretty sure it was Trials. I think it was. That was a lot of fun. It was clearly still early, but it was really good, and we were hyped by that. And I always knew that whatever came out from Mask's Power, if anything did come out, was going to be incredible. I just was always really skeptical that it was going to be anything but Liwa's level. You know what I mean?
And you've
I
been
was
pretty
just like,
consistently saying this behind the scenes.
yeah, it's one of the reasons I kind of like. I want to be super energetic, but I also just like I was scared about getting my hopes up too much because clearly even doing Liwa's level was really hard. Like the team has since said on the Discord that it was in their view it was almost like a vertical slice of the entire game. So the logic was very much like if we can hammer out Liwa's level, the rest of the game will be easier to create because Liwa's level is the foundational point by which the rest of the game revolves.
Mm-hmm.
But there was that voice in the back of my brain that was like, well, how many years has it taken for Liwa's level to come out? How many years will it take for the rest of the levels to come out? Are we going to be playing the final version of Mask's Power in 2035? How long are we really looking? And I mean that was validated in some ways. I remember there was a Tumblr post, Elge,
Mm-hmm.
from a former developer of Mask's Power. I think their name was Box Turret.
Mm-hmm.
They were they worked on the game for like 2 years, and they had a Tumblr post they made a while ago that was very much saying that yeah, there was a there was a rush to get things done behind the scenes, and a lot of the non-Liwa stuff was very much like kind of I mean, just to be blunt, it was like fabricated, basically. It was created to show in trailers, it was created to show in promotional art. It didn't actually exist in a playable form, which isn't rare for game development. As a Halo fan, I'm quite familiar with the Halo 2 E3 demo. You might remember that, Eldray. You
Oh,
might not,
yes,
because
yes.
where the entire thing was just a scripted on rails sequence that none of it existed in the actual game, or even Anthem, which was that BioWare multiplayer game that got released. That was the same thing. Its debut trailer was completely created just for that showcase. And even in the weeks before E3, they were still deciding what genre it was going to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not an uncommon thing at all. But reading it did definitely like validate to me. Well, Liwa's level is probably the only thing anywhere close to being in a playable state, and the rest of it probably isn't going to happen for a long, long, long time, if ever. So just as how with G1, I had kind of coped myself into not being that sad when it got canceled because I had made my peace that it wasn't going to exist anymore because of the leaks. I had also long ago kind of coped myself into realizing that we weren't going to get to see the full Masks of Power, probably because they were, I mean, it felt like they were killing themselves to just make the Liwa demo, you know, with how hard their lives were. It was going to be a miracle if we ever saw that. So while I was sad that it got shut down, I also wasn't really surprised because my pessimism won out.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and like this Tumblr post, it goes into further detail about some of the other things that were kind of fabrications. Like, also, I know the transitions. Whenever I have, there's this black flash goes black and then it goes. I don't know why it's doing that. Like, there are a whole bunch of technical issues today. I'm sorry.
we're making it work. It's
Yeah.
fun.
But like, there's this picture of Pohatu in the desert, and apparently it's not even an in-game photo. Like, I don't remember the details from the post, but the picture of Pohatu is just entirely a fabrication, like a render, a composite render, and it doesn't actually showcase
Yeah.
an actual scene from the game. Was it the Kopaka one as well? The Kopaka image too?
I
Because
believe
the
so.
Kopaka image almost looks like it's from a different game, like an earlier iteration.
Yeah, maybe. Box Turret said in the article that like there was work on a second image, which I think was Kopaka, but it was canceled. So I think what they're showing here is a work in progress.
Okay.
But yeah, ultimately that's what it is. And like the that was kind of just validating to my own like pessimism. Even like reading the article, like Box Turret gets into a lot of other stuff about like the conditions at Team Kenohi and a lot of the stress that they had, a lot of the just make stuff for trailers mentality.
Oh, the trailer. I
And
forgot
Team,
about the trailer.
yeah, it was like just get it trailer, that whole mentality. Like we just need to have stuff to show. And Team Kenohi addressed this post publicly later on Reddit, and they were essentially saying, well, take it with a grain of salt because this person was someone we had issues with in development. There were conflicting ideas, conflicting attitudes. That's not really so much the problem. It's just more of like we know how that goes.
Of course, yeah.
Projects are always like you do the best you can, especially with fan works where no
Mm-hmm.
one's getting paid. You
Yeah.
will inevitably butt heads with people in time.
Yeah.
But it was more just hearing that from someone that worked on it, and like it was probably never gonna be what it was probably never gonna be what the community built it up as, or even what the developers built it up as either. There was a post that was made in their server. I wish I had pulled it up so you could put it on screen, but I forgot to. So don't quote me, but I believe it was spoken about by Gort because Gort, the creative director, was talking about how the team was really fatigued. They were fatigued by all their personal stress. They were fatigued by how long it was taking for the Liwa demo to come out, and that their priority had pretty much transitioned solely to the Free the Band demo. And at that point, it was gonna very much be like think like a crossroads. The demo came out. If they got enough enthusiasm from the release of the demo, then they were gonna try to like come back and finish the whole game. But if they were just burnt out and if they were just ready to stop, that was probably going to be where it would have ended anyway. So like Vin was saying in our patron chat, how like they were probably very tired. It was probably very ambitious. They kind of wanted to work on a new project anyway. Yeah, they've said a lot about that on their server, and a lot of them feel very energized about making Project Rustbound
Mm-hmm.
and transitioning into a studio where they can make what they want to make and not have it be shackled to IP. And I mean, fingers crossed.
And
More power to you on that point.
yeah, for an indie studio, like this is of course a very shocking turn of events, but in the long run, if they're able to come together and make a really fun and unique game, which I'm confident they'll be able to, it is going to be a really cool story in the future where they were working on this project initially. Lego came in and shut it down, but they were able to springboard off of all the experience that they gained, all of the connections they may have made in the industry, and can move forward to make something that is purely, honestly theirs.
Yeah, it could be a great story, like however many years from now, looking back on things and like, yeah, the hurt will still be there, but it'll be like a foundational moment to build on later.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
very much hope that's what happens. Sabertooth at our patron chat said there's an alternate universe where they pivot to making a game for Rebel Nature and work with Faber. Real. Uh, but yeah, I mean,
Be wave bound.
Wavebound, yes. No, that was basically all like I had. It's just I always wanted to support. Part of me was always scared something like this would happen. Now that it has, and now that we look at kind of like the crater that's been left in the Bionicle community after all this, I mean, I kind of want to talk about that angle.
Mm-hmm.
But LJ, do you have any like other comments you want to make about what we're talking about before I kind of transition away?
Yeah, I think Toe of Plastic put it well in the patron chat. The demo was the Biocraft scene, basically. And I agree. I get the logic in wanting to lay a foundation down for the rest of your project. And I think that is probably... it's two-part... It's one part naivete, because, yeah, I don't think they thought about the logistics moving forward after they'd gotten that done, because it was still also just a demo. Presumably there would be more to that level, and it wouldn't just be whatever the demo was, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think it was also one part, trying to have this proof of concept to show that it can be done, which I 100% resonate with, because motivation and momentum was such a huge part in us actually managing to make Biocraft when we did a few years ago. So
Yeah.
I completely empathize with the thought process there. It just, unfortunately, it didn't work because there was so much external pressure to get it done, and that unfortunate that could have been avoided.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So that's about all I got to say
Yeah.
on that.
I want to move into, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of skittish about talking about it, because I don't really know how I feel about it, and that is, what next?
No. Yeah.
Where are we at now? Like, this has happened. There's been a lot of fallout, a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, a lot of petitions, a lot of rallying cries, all the different sections of the community dealing with this in their own way. I think everybody supports, like, the team and the rebrand. Wombat Combat asking about our thoughts on that. Like, everybody's in support of that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cool name, cool logo. I'd love to see a game kind of like a little bit inspired by Bionicle, but not being Bionicle. Like, I really like the
Legally
Horizon
distinct
series.
Bionicle.
Yeah, like, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be cool. That bit, I think everybody is kind of in agreement on. I think the part people aren't really unified on is what this means for the Bionicle community. And I'm not really either. So usually when I talk about stuff like this, I like to kind of have an idea of what I want to say to be encouraging to people, because I want people to leave our discussions, energized a little bit and feeling positive. I know I made that, like, iconic speech back when G2 got canceled that people still refer to. And just so people know, I do not have one of those today. So maybe I'll stumble forward into finding something to say as we talk, but it certainly left a lot of people feeling a bit adrift, you could say. Because in 2016, for that speech that I made, the gist of it was that I was annoyed at how many people were making petitions to get Bionicle brought back, or trying to, like, campaign to Lego to get Bionicle brought back, because I was really disenfranchised with how Lego treated Bionicle as an IP. The Makuta combo model thing, like, really broke me. Like, I think it did everybody. Like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And the whole point of what I was saying was, how about we channel a lot of that energy from trying to prove to Lego that there's still an audience, because they know there's an audience and they don't care. It's not big enough. Not enough people are buying the products. Channel that energy into doing stuff that you control, stuff that is fan works, stuff that is creative projects, stuff that you don't need a big corporation to, approve it and give it the blessing so that it can exist, and that Bionicle means more to us than it does from being just a product on a Toys R Us shelf that you can go buy. And a lot of people took that speech well. A lot of people felt like it was good, which always like humbled me because it wasn't that great. I was just like pissed off.
I mean,
but like people still bring it up. People bring it up on the last podcast.
It was good enough to be the second top 10 moment of 2016.
Shut up. You had stunts on your side. Like, I unfortunately have to come to you all today on May 27th, 2025. I'm 9 years older, and I'm humbled, and I'm a little jaded, and I just kind of have to say, me of 2016 was wrong, unfortunately.
Dang.
As much as I would like to be right, I'm just not, because the whole crux of my speech was that you don't need Lego to validate Bionicle's existence. Well, if this showed us anything, you kind of do. Because the moment you make anything too good or too popular or too cool to be mistaken for official material, they can smite it from existence as easily as swatting a fly. And that's kind of sad in a way. My biggest unfortunate realization about this Masks of Power thing is that while the idea of that speech is still true, there's like a big, like Vin said, there's like a patch note where it's like, yeah, that exists, asterisk, so long as you don't make too good of a project. Like there's almost a quality ceiling now where like people can do whatever they want so long as it's just bad enough to not be mistaken for official. Then you'll be fine. The moment it's too good or it gets reported on by too many news sites, it's over. And that's kind of sad to me.
I think
because like
maybe
ambition.
If you had included maybe if your speech was better, maybe it would withstand the test of time. Okay, like maybe if you let people know that we needed to stand together, that we were with them, that we needed to strengthen our resolve, maybe it would have withstood all of these events. All right, because our greatest strength comes from our unity, Meso.
More buzzwords. That's what will do it. You're right.
Absolutely.
Diggy's saying in the patron chat one of the other unspoken rules of fan projects that we didn't really stress super much, which is just the issues always announcing it years before there's anything actually substantial. If you shock drop your demo or game before Lego catches wind of it, then it doesn't matter if they take it down after the fact. And yeah, pretty much that is true.
Yeah.
That's the number one rule of fan projects, is to do that. So like that could be another thing you could mention earlier in our discussion of like things like I wish Team Kenohi had done differently. That would certainly be one of them. I can't be too mad because I get it. The fuel, like they said themselves in their Discord, their fuel was the hype, their fuel was the encouragement. That was what was keeping them going in lieu of like money. But at the same time, it has a negative, and this is the negative, is you put everything at risk. Years of your life, years of your hard work, of fandoms, like excitement, just gone in a snap of a finger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very unfortunate.
It's
because Rin says, reminder that the team was 50 plus volunteers working for 8 years. Imagine getting that many people, let alone that specific group of people with zero press. Exactly.
Oh yeah, no,
Like
100. Well, they did get that people with zero press, kind of.
they had some people. They certainly expanded their team. But you are right in that the prior versions of the game that were being made, namely Masked Power Legacy and Trials of Great Spirit, was made before the media boom,
Mm-hmm.
and those were impressive in their own right.
They've done interviews that have discussed kind of the different times that they acquired a lot of their members. I don't know how many of their members came from the media coverage boom, but I do know that a large chunk of their members came from some YouTube videos just discussing the game. You know, like
Yeah.
just playing it and going over it.
So you'll never know. That's why I don't want to I don't really like talking too much about like the what could have beens because you never know. I could spend hours wondering, and it would get us nowhere. It wouldn't have any kind of an inspiration. Well, but I mean, I do agree with what Wombat Combat Pictures says. Guys, if we petition Lego enough, they'll make Bionicle Revolution a reality.
Nope, stop
Yes!
it. Nope.
We
Mm-mm,
need
nope,
it!
Nope,
We need
no.
Rewire!
No, stop.
Pride X daughter.
Oh, no.
Dude, that project. Sabretooth in our patron chat says, I wonder if somehow Project Toa is the big Bionicle project that makes it through the great filter. No. Funny joke, Sabretooth.
Gosh
Funny
dang it. I
joke.
thought that's the kind of thing I thought Diggy would say. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Instead, Diggy says perhaps if they didn't have a larger team, they would have had a more appropriate and manageable scope. That is certainly true.
I don't know. It's hard to say, because, like, for when we did the movie, like, the actual core team developing everything was pretty small. Like, what, 11 people, maybe?
About that, yeah.
However many people are in TTV at the time. But the amount of puppeteers as like plus us like that expanded it to I don't know, like the 20s maybe. I didn't do a head count. So it's tough to say because I also know with more people we could do more. But yes,
yeah.
When you have a large team, you have to have managers over certain divisions. And it's also for a fan project super important to get along with everyone as much as you can. And
true enough.
Yeah, that's a really tall ask, though.
Yeah, it is. It can be hard sometimes. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, what's the takeaway here? Is that because the takeaway before was just do stuff on your own without Lego's involvement. What's the takeaway now? Don't talk about any of your stuff until it's done. Don't make good enough stuff that it gets reported on by IGN. Like, the lessons are so much murkier. And none of us even know if they even matter. Because, for all we know, the only reason this happened is because someone new joined the Lego legal team and saw everything that was going on with use of their IP on the internet and decided they needed to crack down. It could be nothing that happened with Masks of Power, and we'll probably never know. Which is frustrating in its own right. It's like G2 all over again. Yeah. Sales were fine.
Sales were fine, yeah. The project was fine.
Luhan the Orange, the takeaway is don't talk about Fight Club. Real.
I mean, basically.
Rule number one.
And it's that way for multiple reasons, because you don't want to talk about it and overhype it and make too many promises, and you don't want to garner the attention of corporate.
But in so doing, which is smart, like Ren was saying, you also run the risk of not getting like enough people to help make your dream a reality. which might just come back to the reality of make a smaller project with a less impressive scope, which is what I was talking about with the quality ceiling. So it's like there's no takeaway here that makes me feel really good. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. In the
And it
YouTube chat,
also, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Octobotomus says, I find it so strange to enforce an IP they have no plans to use. Well, the problem is we don't know if they have any plans to use it. But again, like I mentioned earlier, we have to remember Bionicle was a huge brand IP. Bionicle helped carve the path for Lego today because it helped. It helped them form so many connections with other companies and producers and all of these things. It really helped form the company and how they do stuff. They're not just going to be like, we're just not going to do anything with this. They're going to keep what is theirs, and they're going to make sure they always have the ability to use it in the future if they want to. Because Bionicle might not work very well now, but it very much could work in the future. So.
Yeah. Because like the current Lego team doesn't want to do Bionicle, all it takes is someone new joining like a management position in like 10 years who grew up with Bionicle, and then they're like, yeah, let's bring it back. You never know. But you can't bring something back that you don't own the rights to anymore.
Yeah.
So it leaves the community in this like weird state of limbo where like nobody really knows what to do and everyone's afraid and no one really has a good way to rebut that fear, or the ways they have done are pretty pathetic. Like a lot of the fear about like Bionicle right now is that other projects will be susceptible to being taken down. The stuff about the 3D modeling community has spooked a lot of people that that's going to be hit, which is a large part of current Bionicle community, is just making your own pieces. The game and also the movie remasters on YouTube has spooked people that BMP Biomedia Project will be hit, similarly to how the Ninjago Media Project was hit. Nobody has any clue, and you can be like, "Well, that won't happen," and I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but nobody has any clue whether it will or not, nor are we likely to. So, the shell-shocked feeling of like paralysis almost isn't great.
I would definitely say
You and I aren't.
if you care about the longevity of certain Bionicle media, you might want to start you might want to start saving whatever you want to keep.
Yeah.
From BMP. I mean, there have been claims that they would be unaffected if Lego tried to come after them because they host the content somewhere else. I don't remember exactly what was said.
The idea that was broached, which was in the it was in the Rustbound server. I don't want to misattribute the quote here.
Of course.
Yeah, I just want to make sure to get it absolutely right. Okay, yeah, here we go. It was questioned about BMP and Wall of History, and Vikiti said, "I think I can field this one. Wall of History is privately hosted, and James already stated that he won't comply with any bullying from Lego about this. BMP is hosted remotely, but if they send something to our host, we can move to the Wall of History server." And look, no matter our personal beef with Vikiti, those resources are immensely valuable for the community. Neither of us want those to ever get taken down.
Yeah.
But
No,
I won't lie, and when I say like I don't exactly feel put at ease by we'll just move to a private server and or just won't comply with any of Lego's bullying.
yeah,
I hope that works out.
I would recommend, if I could give any advice that anyone would take away from this, uh, do not go to Vakiti for legal advice in the Bionicle community. He is the first person I've ever seen get like a proper like cease and desist from Lego in my entire time in this company. In this community. Like,
One of the few.
yeah, one of very few, but he was definitely the first. Legally, he is about as knowledgeable as a conch shell. So,
But hopefully that plan works. I don't want it to get taken down ever. Hopefully they never touch
yeah,
those things.
BMP,
Because that would be a disaster for the community.
BMP is an extraordinary resource. Like, they do really, really good stuff, and I really don't want anything to befall them. That would be genuinely a tragedy.
Octobotomist says, yeah, it's kind of funny in a sad way of just how weird of a situation we're in. The building system has been deleted, theme ended, and now fan games are also a no-go anymore. Yeah, pretty much. It's among the worst possible situations that a fandom could be in. That is the Bionicle community. Life support barely covers it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I hope, like, I don't really want to get all super pretentious and, like, talk about, like, the virtues of unity and, like, holding strong against Lego. Because, I don't know, maybe me of 2016 would have done that. To me now, I'm too much of a jaded, like, 50-year-old at heart
But
to
Meso,
feel those things anymore.
dude,
Um,
again, what we were just talking about earlier, strengthen our resolve, bro. Okay, we need to stand
yeah,
together.
exactly.
All right? To
I
give back
hope
to the community, to give it another outlet. All right? Our greatest strength
exactly.
comes from our unity, bro. It's the first of the three virtues.
United, but not one.
When we are united, our power to collaborate and to create is unmatched. And now we must do so in defiance of Lego, to send them the message that we will not be broken. Get it? That's a quote from one of the movies.
There you go. No, absolutely. It's it's very much kind of a thing where I would love to have some kind of a hopeful outro, but I just don't want to do it in like an overly cheesy way. Like, imagine art gaming, $2 super chat. I'm not buying anything from Lego ever again. Honestly, you're right. I I could not say one way or another whether that is something that like should be done or not. That's totally a personal call. I think that for Bionicle fans, there really isn't a lot right now on the Lego market that that would really be for you anyway. I think the closest is like the Ninjago mechs.
Yeah, like the Cole mech, and I think there's a Kai mech that's coming out or is already out. I don't know.
Like, there's very few things that are good for Bionicle fans now, especially at the price point and the ranges. Because those mechs cost like $100+, and Bionicle sets were like what, 8 to 20
Yeah,
on average.
significantly.
Even if there wasn't all this drama, and even if there wasn't all of this like bad feelings towards Lego, there isn't a lot for you right now. So I don't personally want to go on like an anti-Lego crusade, but I can't blame anyone that does. It's very much a kind of thing like, so be it. They certainly aren't giving Bionicle fans a lot to really be excited about. That much I can say.
Yeah.
But Ninjago's story's pretty good.
It is.
That's what I can say. But that's really it. It's the kind of thing where I want people to continue creating because the Bionicle community has a lot of people in the community that are very skilled at what they do. A lot of artists, a lot of game programmers, a lot of animators, a lot of 3D modelers. And I want them to be successful. You know, a lot of people in the community we unfortunately have like personal beef with. Old stuff, new stuff, attitudes that clash. The one thing I think everybody can agree on is that there are people like incredibly talented people. And Bionicle is just how they channel that skill. And unfortunately, it feels like Bionicle's kind of a hard place to channel it because of how weird its standing is with the Lego Corporation in general. And I think that stuff like this, it makes people sad, and I get it. It makes me sad, and I'm not even really doing that much stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But hopefully, people will still continue to make cool things. Hopefully, people will still be able to find that spark of ingenuity and innovation and drive to work. I just really encourage people to learn from the lessons of the past. That's really it. Do your best. Keep as low a profile as possible. Don't broadcast. Don't overpromise. Don't overburden yourselves when you're all just a bunch of volunteers. No one's making a living from this. Keep things small. Keep things reasonable. You can still make good work without burning yourselves out. You can still make good work without making yourself a target for a cease and desist takedown or anything like that. Not that good of a inspirational message, but those are my feelings. I just want people to be successful at the stuff they do. I want it to be a good use of their time, that they get something out of, that they can look back years later and be like, hey, I didn't waste my time on this. This stuff meant something to me. And it meant something to people who followed it. And even for Unmasked Games right now, it's a bummer what's happened, but that seems to be the approach they're taking because they're channeling that energy into their new project. And that's going to be how they look at it. You know, they used this time to practice their skills. They used this time to refine their craft, to grow their team. Hopefully good stuff can come from it.
It's about all that can be done now.
And hope for G3. Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
G3. We're going to get a re-release of G1. They're going to make Hookie Brown. They're going to fix everything. They're going to make the Fantoka their proper colors. They're going to bring back gear functions. They're going to do everything. It's going to be great. That's what we need. G3. FAC SO1 Unity, Duty, Copium, Real. That's basically it. Eljay, do you have any last words?
Gosh, sometimes being in this community, I wish. It sucks. The situation sucks. The state of things, the state of the community is terrible. It's a shame. Especially being in this community for so long, remembering what it was before. And remembering, like being on BZ Power and seeing all the just immense creativity and all of the unique culture that existed there, and seeing how fragmented and bitter and toxic it has become now. It's extremely disheartening. If I can offer advice to anyone that is in the Bionicle community at this point, it is genuinely to branch out in your interests. there are so many phenomenal things out there, many of which share commonalities, qualities with Bionicle. And unless LEGO were to bring it back, as Meso said, there is kind of a quality threshold now that cannot be passed. And it's a shame. It's just really unfortunate. And I know a lot of people, because like we've been making content in this community for like the better part of 15 years, you know, and I know how hungry this community is for new content. That's why they love seeing games, they love seeing, like, reading writings, they love listening to like audiobooks. It's something to engage with. And it's a shame that the community now has been kind of scared into not doing that.
I think certain forms of like creative media will still be fine, but I think others are definitely going to be harder to pull off. Like, I think this will be the last like Bionicle fan game of this scope that will ever be attempted. Maybe smaller ones like, Coley Champions, but like nothing to this scope.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and it's the kind of thing where if people in the Bionicle community are bummed out about this, rightfully so, just understand that there is so much creative media out in the world that you can still enjoy and receive the same feelings that you had about Bionicle from as well. And just broaden your horizons, look for good creative content, listen to recommendations, and just know that there's a lot more in the world to learn and gain from. And that this situation shouldn't stop you from expressing that creativity, even if it very potentially could run the risk of LEGO coming down and being like, no, don't be afraid to make art.
Amen.
And we will now eat. No, I'm kidding. So, I don't know. That's really all I have to say.
It's a complex thing. I feel like people's feelings are changing like day by day. God forbid if anything else ever happens on this scope, or like even just anything else in the community. Like, I can only imagine the day that like if BMP ever gets hit, like that will be a disaster. So let's hope that that never happens. Let's hope that this will be the end of it. And we'll move on to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
But everybody go follow Unmasked Games. They'll do cool stuff. I have hope in them. I have hope that they'll be sparked by like all of this to truly do something fantastic. And I think that Bionicle at this point, the best chance for it to live on is in projects inspired by it. I feel like, I know everybody has different opinions about Christian Faber and Rebel Nature, but he has the right idea, I think, to do something inspired by rather than new Bionicle. I think that Unmasked Games, Project Rustbound, I would bet on that horse far before I would LEGO doing anything with Bionicle. And as for us, that's pretty much all we got, I think, for today. I would say we'd do some Q&A, but truthfully, I think we've pretty much spoken about everything that we have to say on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a bummer of a situation. Do you want to go ahead and end for the day?
Yeah. I think we've discussed all that we can for today. And we will come back. We will come back, and we're gonna have a nice long discussion about a lot of stuff, and we're gonna clarify a lot of things. A lot of things have been said today, both here, both in the chat, uh, all with plenty of receipts, so that everyone is on the same page and everyone understands kind of where we're coming from with a lot.
The next one will be probably the longest in Ek and J. Maybe.
Well,
I don't want to promise because the one with Mary was incredibly long.
yeah, it was like, what,
But, like,
5 hours?
It wouldn't surprise me if the next one is longer, but we'll see.
Yeah, we have a
It'll
lot
be
to
close.
talk about. A lot that we've been kind of... It's been sitting on our chest.
Yeah.
There are a lot
So
of,
that'll be... I wouldn't say something to look forward to, but, like, it'll certainly be something we do. Just more because we feel we need to be able to speak about it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people wonder why we do, like, YouTube and, like, why we do anything. It's kind of been the thing at the start of the episode where we were discussing it, and, like, I see a lot of people that just write off the concept of YouTube as, like, well, people just do it for greed, or people just do it for sensationalism, or people just do it for views, or people just do it for any sort of whatever. And, like, for me, I've always done YouTube for entertainment. And in a way, as silly as it might sound, it's in certain ways kind of therapeutic to be able to get on and discuss issues that you have strong opinions about in, like, a public forum where other people can weigh in the chat. Like, I've been needing to express some of these thoughts about Mask's power, and I wanted to do it in this setting because it helps me process those feelings. Liam Meach asks, "I thought you guys were packing TTV in." We kind of are. The TTV podcast officially ended. The channel's more open-ended. We have the ability, obviously, to do whatever we want whenever we want. We don't really got much planned, just to be candid with you all. A few long-term projects, but short-term videos like these, we pretty much just have, like, one more in the docket, pending some big Bionicle related thing happening that kind of rejuvenates our interest. But yeah, it's like a soft ending for our group, hard ending for the podcast.
Yeah.
Think about it like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
If anything crazy ever happens, we'll poke our head back out. But next time will very much be one of those therapeutic episodes where, like, hopefully by the end we feel relieved about things. The TTV epilogue.
And, like, I really do want to stress, folks, like, there are a lot of receipts for what we're going to be discussing.
Indeed.
Like, a lot of
Wombat combat pictures.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Well, I was just gonna say a lot of receipts for power hungry behavior. You know.
Yeah.
Definitely abuses of the community.
Yes, I would absolutely say that. That is a very key phrase. Wombat Combat Pictures, I'm only here for greed. The Bionicle fan base is a super lucrative source of financial gain. I agree. The $1.50 we make for every, like, 1,000, 2,000 views, that definitely keeps food on my table.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that were saying that the video I made the other day was for the views, and I can promise it wasn't. I know what viewership this channel gets.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if we were in it to make money, there's other ways to do it. That's all. Last thing I'll say, I know we've talked about it elsewhere, but just because you asked, I'll answer it. For Damo, Do you think if G3 comes, is there a chance for TTV revival? I'll say no to a TTV revival.
Yeah, probably
I
not.
think that ship has sailed. Say Bionicle comes back tomorrow, and it's incredible, and it's like incredibly high budget, absolutely top tier stuff. There's a TV show, there's a movie, there's a game. Why would we want to do the TTV branding? It's associated with something when we were super young. It's associated with Twitch a lot. It's like not the best branding we could do. We could do better. It also reflects an era where we had like 8 or 10 or 12 or 14 different people, none of which are still present besides me and Eljay. If Bionicle ever came back and we wanted to be a part of it, we would make something new, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot of history and baggage that comes with this channel as well.
Both positive and negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I guess that that should be emphasized as well, like both positive and negative. Like we do receive a lot of positive feedback. It's just there are a lot of people that, quite frankly, they think about us way too much, and it is extremely weird, and they make it known that they're thinking about us. That's weird.
Or there's even people, like, even internally at times, we've had this discussion that, like, still hold on to things from, like, many years ago, or, like, when we were 12. And, like, well, we're not the same people we were back then. We're in our late 20s now. So, I don't know. Food for thought. But that's about all for today, I think. Thank you guys very much for chilling and listening. Great viewership on today's episode. Thank you so much to anybody who stuck around. Thank you so much for talking about Bionicle. If you haven't already, I mean, if you're here, I doubt you haven't. But if you are here and you haven't, go follow Unmasked Games. Give them some positive energy. I'm sure they need it right about now. And we will see you guys next time.
I will
for
play
Knack
the
and Jay.
music.
All right.
It's playing.
In the end, I have been Meso.
I'm Eljay.
And streaming to you from a golden beach, this was Knack and Jay. Farewell.